Hope you can hear me loud and clear. There are a few people still logging on. That's why we have to delay a little bit from 7 o'clock. I can still see some people coming in now. Over 108 different computers, 109 computers logged in. So presumably that's probably with some doubles and triples sat in front of computer screens. It's probably up to about 150 people logged in. So welcome to the Sussex Ornithological Society's annual conference, evening number 2. We had a wonderful pair of talks last night. We got to hear all about the conservation work to do with the curlew, and then a trip down into the sunshine of southern Spain to see migration over the Straits of Gibraltar. Hopefully many of you tuned in for that, and we've got a very different evening lined up for you today. So we hope that you're safe and well and comfortable and looking forward to tonight's entertainment. My name's Adrian Thomas and I'm your host for this evening, you lucky people you. To confirm the format of the evening, we'll have the 2 talks. The first will take us through to about 8 o'clock. We'll have a 5-minute comfort break and then into the second talk. At the end of each of the talks, we'll have a Q&A session. The Q&A button, which hopefully you can see on the bottom of your Zoom screen, is open throughout the talks. So post your questions and comments into there. You won't be able to see other people's. I will pick out the questions and feed them through at the end of every session. So I'll try and fit in as many of those questions as I can, but last night we had way more questions than I could fit in. So the key message is get your questions in early as we're going through the talks. Okay, in order to get the evening underway, we now need to head straight over to a bunker deep underneath the Sussex countryside, from where our president, Alan Perry, masterminds the operations of Sussex Ornithological Society. So calling Perry Mansions, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I certainly can, Alan.
Good, okay, I've unmuted myself. Do I need to put my video on?
Yeah, it'd be lovely to see you.
Yes. Ah, there we are. Okay, so, right, okay, everybody. I'm just seeing a small picture of me, which I hope will, for you, will turn into a big one, although you may not like that. I'm going to, again, welcome you all to the second half of the 42nd SOS Conference, the first one online. As Adrian said, I think it was a very successful evening. We were all very nervous, and I know Tim, who's pressing the buttons behind, never done this before, and it went very well indeed, I'm pleased to say. So I'm not going to spend too long going over much of the things that I said yesterday, because some of you may well have been here, and I know that we've got a number of you joining us afresh, so which is great. And I know that some of you are members, some non-members, and it's, for us, it's just really nice to be able to open the doors of the Sussex Ornithological Society to a lot of people who are not members, who might become members. By the way, at the end of this, our webpage will come up, and if anybody does want to become a member, then please do let me know, or go into the website and get it sorted from there. You can also make a donation if you like. No, you don't have to do any of this if you don't want to, I hasten to add. You are here, and we are delighted to have you all here. Okay. I don't know whether any of you did the Great Garden Bird Watch today, which is the last day. You probably all put your hands up, I can't see you. Even I did it, because it was a miserable day in the bunker of West Sussex. And I managed to get a grand total of 7 species, although I was particularly pleased to get 25 plus house sparrows. So I thought that was an absolute bonus on that. Now, I'm just going through because Adrian, as always, has taken all my little comments, so I'm just rubbing them all out like mad at the moment as I go down. Thank you for that, Adrian. I will actually just mention 2 things. One is that we are running some talks now, which Mark Maloney, our recorder, has organised, and you will find those again on the website. They are commencing the 10th of February, 7 p.m. They go on for one a week. That's a Wednesday, every Wednesday, starting at 7. They go on for about 35-40 minutes. So you are all welcome. And again, non-members, and you pay, you can make a donation, you can do nothing, it's fine. In this period of our lives, it's just lovely to have you all here. So that would be absolutely great if you can do that. And by the way, if any of you are budding speakers or would like to speak on a subject, we are looking for people to actually come and do that. So again, you can go on the web page and do that. The same actually goes with, if I've got any captured SOS members, we're always looking for volunteers. Whether you make you don't have to be a wonderful birder. You can make a cup of tea, make a sandwich. You might be able to write the Sussex Bird Report. Something will be found for you if you feel you would like to come along and help us. So that's it really. I'm not going to go through a lot of the other things, because most of that, if you go onto the web page of the SOS, you will find everything that you need to know on that. It merely leaves me to return us to the, how can I put it, ever effervescent Prince of Conference hosting, Mr. Adrian Thomas. Thank you.
Alan, you're just too kind. And what a privilege to get a glimpse into your parlour room there. People have probably noticed the little still life on the wall there. That's an original Dutch master. That's how Alan Perry lived.
I tried not to tell anyone, but you know, these forgeries are really good. Very impressive.
Fantastic. I see that a comment's already come in, or questions come in, which is, do we as the Society have other talks and annual things? This is the replacement to our annual conference, which is normally held in the plush surroundings of Clare Hall in Haywards Heath, the Blackpool Tower Ballroom of the South, I think it's known as. But obviously for the pandemic's sake, straight onto Zoom. I'm delighted how it's going, and delighted that number of participants is, number of computers online is 133. So brilliant to know how many people are watching. Right, so on to our first speaker of the evening. I'm going to have to turn to my notes because the list of things that Mya Bambrick does is astonishing. She's a birder, a wildlife photographer, a trainee bird ringer, a blogger, a vlogger. She's an ambassador for Pocket Pals. She's an ambassador for Lichen Nature and Birding. She's a council member of the SOS, and somehow she's managed to find time to design a wildlife garden for her school. And when I say school, you will get the picture that Mya is actually still at school. She's in her second year of A-levels, and all the very best to Mya with that. Hearing about all her achievements made me reflect about my formative years, and I dug into my childhood diaries to find out what I was doing at the age of 18, and it appears that I was reading pop magazines, dyeing my hair and wearing ridiculous clothes, which can you believe it? So given what Mya is achieving at the age of 18, it is with huge respect and admiration that I hand over to Mya for yet another of her ambassador roles, which is for the Cameron Bespolka Trust. Mya, over to you.
Thank you very much. That's a very nice introduction of you, Adrian. So I will share my presentation. Here we are. So yes, that was quite an introduction for me, but I'll do an introduction anyway. So hello everyone, my name is Mya Bambrick, and first of all, I'm a very keen birder, wildlife photographer and vlogger, which is a video blogger. I'm also an A-level student, believe it or not. I'm in my second year of A-levels. I study biology, geography, chemistry. I'm based in Crawley, West Sussex, so it's very urban, but I still see lots of wildlife around. So since the age of around 8, I've been very passionate about wildlife and its conservation. So my passion started when I started visiting my local nature reserve, which is called Warnham. I remember sitting in the hides there for hours upon hours, waiting for birds like great spotted woodpecker to come down and I had my camera poised there, and my hands used to be numb because it used to be very cold. But I was so determined to get good pictures and see the wildlife there. So now I'm a bit older, I'm 18, I'm really keen to get other young people interested, and particularly to respect and engage with nature, as overall they are the people that are going to be protecting our planet and wildlife for future generations. So as part of that, I'm an ambassador for the Cameron Bespolka Trust, which I'm going to be talking about today. The BTO's, which is the British Trust for Ornithology's Garden Birdwatch Survey, which encourages people to take note of what birds are visiting their garden and other wildlife too. And I'm also very recently been appointed ambassador for a new charity, which gives grants out to small conservation causes, which is called Birds on the Brink, which I'm hoping to do lots of work with in the future. Also, I've since last lockdown, I've been doing a lot of vlogs. So as I mentioned, I'm a vlogger, so that entails me doing little videos of myself out birding, talking about different topics, and they've been recently broadcast on Chris Packham's and his stepdaughter's Megan McCubbin's Self-Isolating Bird Club Live, and that was very exciting to see myself on there, as they're both real big inspirations for me. In the future, I would love to work in conservation, particularly with birds. But it's my absolute dream to become a TV wildlife presenter, although I know that's very hard to get into, so I'm keeping my sort of horizons very broad. So as I mentioned, I'm an ambassador for the Cameron Bespolka Trust. So what is it? It's a charity which aims to engage the next generation with nature by creating and sponsoring opportunities for them to connect with the natural world around them. And I'm so privileged to be able to work with them, as they do such amazing work for young people. I first found out about the Cameron Bespolka Trust, it must be a long time ago now. I think it was in 2016 when I went to a bird camp at the VTO headquarters in Thetford, Norfolk. And this was a fantastic event, and I'm hoping to talk about that later for you. So how was the Cameron Bespolka set up? So it was set up in the memory of Cameron Bespolka, who very tragically died in an accident way too young. He was absolutely obsessed with nature. He photographed it, blogged about it, surveyed it, and ultimately just immersed himself in the nature around him. He was a really passionate birder, and because of that, we are aiming to create sort of outdoor events for young people, especially of every background, to give a wide opportunities for the next generation to really connect with wildlife and get outdoors. So how do they do this? So we support projects, big or small, which help create opportunities, hands-on opportunities for children and young people to experience nature close up. So we try and really engage with all backgrounds of people, especially those in spaces which might not be able to connect with nature, so in towns and cities. So we try and really engage with people of all backgrounds to get them outdoors and get them really connected, as it's really good to have a wide demographic to look after wildlife for the future. So for these projects, we partner up with a wide range of organisations who are actively involved in protecting and promoting the natural world. So these range from the BTO, as I mentioned earlier, the British Trust for Ornithology, to smaller organisations like Wild New Forest, which helped us set up a wildlife camp down in the New Forest with. So these are so vital for us to help really reach a wide range of young people, and we wouldn't be able to set up these fantastic projects without them. So I must say thank you if there's anyone here that worked for these fabulous organisations. Thank you. So our work. So we run these projects. We do a wide range of projects, including sponsoring wildlife and bird camps run by expert nature organisations. We run scholarships and internships, wildlife talks, wildlife art photography competitions, a young naturalist group, and Cameron's Cottage, which is a very exciting project which I can't wait to tell you about later on. So our wildlife camp. So this is very exciting. That I've been to 2 of these personally, and it's such an eye-opening experience for me to really connect with other young people. As I'm sure if there's any other young people in here, you'll be used to not having many friends who are into it. So I'll talk about it later, but it's an amazing experience. So these wildlife camps really enable young, like-minded people together to share their passion with nature. So the expertise differs among these young people. So we might have some expert birders, some people are into moths, into bird photography. It really differs, but we all have that passion for nature. So on these wildlife camps, the activities really differ. So we have bird ringing, nest recording, visiting amazing nature reserves, listening to talks by experts, and seeing, importantly, some fabulous wildlife. So I've been lucky enough to attend BTO Bird Camp twice. As I mentioned, it's in Thetford, Norfolk, so an amazing space for birding. And they also run a New Forest Bird Camp and a Young Leaders BTO course. So here's a few pictures from my experience of bird camp, which was eye-opening. It was the place where I met my friends in birding, which are still really close friends now, and going to be lifelong friends, I'm sure. So I went, first of all, in 2016, when I was the mere age of 13. You can see me in that photo on the left. And I saw some amazing wildlife. It was the place where I saw my first bittern, as you can see in the bottom right, popular hawk moth. So we got to see moth trapping, which I'm really pleased to be getting into now. Got my own moth trap. And also not just birds, we were seeing slow worms, grass snakes, and this was at Lake and Heath Fen mostly, which is a fabulous reserve. But it was just an amazing experience to really connect with and make friends with other young people all over the UK. So it's not just people from Norfolk, it was people from Sussex, even Scotland. So really bring a whole community together. So on to our scholarships. So these scholarships are fantastic opportunities for young people to go further afield and take the understanding of birds and wildlife to another level. So each year the Trust sponsors a young person to visit the Cornell Lab of Ornithology in New York, America. So this allows the young person to join another teenager in the States in their own bird camp. And it allows them to learn from experts in the lab, as it's a fabulous place for birding, obviously, and see American wildlife. So I know 2 of my friends, Alex Chapman and Amy Hall, who are also ambassadors for the Trust, who've been on this, and they couldn't have said more about it. They were so pleased with their experience there, and they've met some really good friends and made connections with people over at the Cornell. So as well as scholarships, we sponsor art and photography competitions for youth. So these include the RSBB Wild Art, which I'm sure you might have heard of. This sees some fabulous entries, and I really can't wait to see this year's winners. It's really important, I think, to get young people to use their creative side when talking about wildlife and trying to portray it to a different audience. As this can really highlight some really important conservation issues, as well as showing the beauty of wildlife. We've also sponsored the prestigious Young Bird Photographer of the Year, which I'm sure you might have heard of, and I'm very jealous of the entries for that, amazing photography skills. So the Cameron Bespolka Trust ultimately aims to support young people to develop into really amazing, fantastic young naturalists who can go on to inspire other young people to get into nature too. Personally, I'm so grateful for the opportunities, advice and support they've given me through the years. And if Corinne's on here, who obviously runs the Trust with her family, I want to say thank you to you, because you've really given me such amazing support over the years, and I can't thank you enough. So now I'm going to stop sharing and move over to YouTube and show you a little clip. So let's see if that works. So I must say this might be a little bit jerky, but I'm hoping you'll be able to hear the sound. So it'll just give you an idea of an exciting new project which I'll be telling you about after. Is that better?
Yeah, that's working.
Good.
Here we are at Cameron's cottage in the middle of the RSPB Reserve Franchises Lodge, which is right in the heart of the New Forest. We're hoping it will sleep up to 18 people, so it'll be a really beautiful retreat for people to come with their schools, nature groups, and many different environmental groups that can come and stay as well. We're going to have a field study centre, so that again it will be just an educational base for people when they come and spend the day here, as well as a very small lab type of technical room for university students to maybe doing some research to work on their thesis. For us to have a base was really important, and really the one experience we want people to go away with is, you know, isn't wildlife brilliant? Isn't nature fantastic? And shouldn't we all have a chance to really enjoy it?
There's so much for anyone who loves nature here to really immerse themselves in such a wide variety of really special activities. Having not really been stuck in when I was a youngster, I never had the opportunity to come out and even go to the VTO bird camps and things like that. So definitely this place would have turned my head. It's really special.
For Cameron, there was a life-changing moment when he went to stay at an Audubon cabin in Florida, which was an amazing experience for him. It told him how much more there was to do to engage with wildlife, birds and nature.
It's in part of the New Forest, like you said, so you got all sorts of birds like redstarts, probably nesting in this area, goshawks just down there. We've got hen harriers in the surrounding heathland, and it's just a perfect place to get young naturalists involved into nature.
You know, we've come such an incredibly long way with the Cameron Bespolka Trust. We could not have done any of this without the help of all our amazing, incredible supporters and donors. This cottage has obviously been a huge project for us, and to achieve this ambition to open something as incredible as this has been only achievable because of the help we've received, of which we are so incredibly grateful. We hope to continue fundraising and getting more supporters on board, and realising what a difference we can actually make.
So I hope you got to see some of that and hear some of that. But it really sort of shows a new project, which I'm going to show you now, which personally I'm very excited about. This is Cameron's cottage, which is going to be an amazing, exciting new facility, a residential educational centre, hidden away in the middle of an amazing nature reserve, RSPB Franchises Lodge, who we are working in conjunction with on this project. So this is deep in the New Forest in Wiltshire in the UK. So this is a really exciting new project, and it looks pretty derelict in that photo, but trust me, the work is happening, and it's going to be developing soon. So as you saw, this derelict cottage is being turned into a residential educational facility. We're hoping small groups of young people from different backgrounds, from schools, universities and other youth groups will be able to visit and have a fully immersive experience with nature here. This project is so important to the Trust because when Cameron was 15, he spent 3 nights in a similar cottage in a Florida nature reserve, and this really helped his passion to develop and grow even further. So this work is hopefully going to be completed in spring or summer of this year, and I can't wait to visit soon. I was going to be visiting in winter, but then Crawley went into Tier 4, so unfortunately I wasn't able to go. But this site has such amazing wildlife, as you heard in the video. There's redstart, there's hawfinch. It's just an amazing place, a base for young people to be able to visit the outdoors and see some amazing bird life. So as part of the Trust, we run a Young Ambassador programme, which I'm really pleased that I'm part of. So this programme selects young naturalists who already got quite a developed passion for wildlife, and this helps us engage with other teenagers, and they help us advise on ways on how to do so. So as Young Ambassadors, we set up quizzes. So over the lockdown, we were running these virtual quizzes on all different topics like moths, fungi, and we had up to about 50 people join at one time, all young people into nature, and it was a really good way of sort of connecting with one another during those hard times. But if I name the Young Ambassadors, so we've got 12 at the moment. So going from the left, we have Alex Chapman, Amy Hall, Arjun Dutta, Finn Wilson, Kabir Kaul, Andrew Midham, Sam Levy, Megan McCleverty, Tom Saunders, Ellie Micklewright, myself with short hair then, Luke Anderson, and we have a wide range of skill sets among these Young Ambassadors, and such broad knowledge. So Luke's obsessed with all things spiders. Sam's an expert birder. He finds some really good birds, and he volunteers at Rainham Marshes. Kabir's an amazing conservationist. He's on the Youth Council for the RSPB. Andrew's a fantastic nature writer, and Amy's also a trustee, so she helps run this Young Ambassador programme. But with their expertise, the Young Ambassador expertise, the Trust is really growing from strength to strength, and it's really helping us engage with communities across the UK through work through our schools. So I know Ellie is setting up a wildlife garden in her school, and she's really into that, and she's such an expert. And I'm doing the same. I'm trying to set up a wildlife garden at my school to get other young people connected with wildlife. So every so often, the Young Ambassadors come together for events like this one, which was the Society of Wildlife Artists exhibition in London, where some of the RSPB Wild Art winners were displayed. But it's fabulous to get together. Hopefully soon, COVID permitting, we'll be able to meet up, hopefully at the Cameron's cottage when it's all built and all ready for us. But yeah, it's really good to be able to meet with other like-minded individuals. So of course we wouldn't be able to do this fantastic work without fundraising, without money. So we're lucky enough to have many people donating for us, creating fundraising events. So for my 18th birthday, I did a sponsored wildlife walk at RSPB Pulborough Brooks, and I managed to raise about £800. So I was pretty pleased with that. I know Tom and Ellie, who are at the bottom of the pictures on the slides, they must have raised over £2,000. They did another sponsored walk down in Dorset. And we also have bike rides. Corinne runs marathons, which I wouldn't be able to do, but she's amazing for doing that. We do cake sales, walks, talks, choir concerts. So it's very varied, the events we do to raise money for the Trust. So as you saw on that slide, we also have a shop which sells a whole host of products with a general wildlife theme, from natural soaps to bird nest boxes so hedgehog houses, bug hotels, candles. So if you've got a birthday or event to buy for, you know exactly where to go. So of course this money goes to admin fees and the work the trust carries out. So we have lots of great products that you can go and buy to help support us, which would be fabulous. So every year we have Christmas cards, and I was lucky enough to have my robin photo in the snow, as you can see on the slide, sold this year for Christmas cards, and each year we have different photos on the front of those from our ambassadors. We also sell bird nest boxes, which I have on display at my school, which I hope to see birds using very soon. Also hedgehog houses. And most recently, we've collaborated with the wild bird food brand CJ Wildlife. And this has been really helpful for many of us and young ambassadors, because they've allowed us to use their products for our projects. So I'm really lucky enough that they've sent me some products for my wildlife garden project at school. So lots of bird feeders, lots of bird food. And this is a really exciting new project, and we hope to collaborate more on this soon. So you might be wondering what work we do as young ambassadors. So we mainly create blogs. We try and get other people to know about the Cameron Bespolka Trust via our social media. And we also help lead on events. So before lockdown, I was supposed to help lead on a wildlife camp in the New Forest, but then COVID happened, so it didn't. But young ambassadors sort of are role models for other young naturalists to see. So make sure you check out our website. You can follow us on social media, so Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Give us a like and follow us on there for all the latest news. So hopefully you'll see about the Cameron's Cottage soon, as it's planned to be finished around spring or summer of this year. So I hope you can check those out. And so ultimately the Trust aims to create guardians to safeguard our planet for the natural world and for future generations. So I hope you enjoyed my talk, and thanks for having me.
Mya, thank you. That was brilliant. Amazing. I couldn't help but smiling there, imagining how inexpert I'd have been at that point in my life to even sit in front of a camera, let alone give a wonderful presentation and do all the amazing things you're doing, like your sponsored walks and things. Okay, folks, it's time for questions. Some have already come in. Some comments have come in too. So let me work my way through. So Tanya White says, Mya, what an amazing presentation. Also such a moving and incredible film from Cameron's mum, which it was, yeah, indeed. Tanya worked with inner city kids at Audubon in Los Angeles, so remembers how hugely valued the base was for that community, who used to come out to the parks to help take care of them. We were always overwhelmed by the response. So no question from Tanya, but love for your presentation. My colleague Claire Alcote is leading on the build of Cameron's Cottage.
Really?
So I got to see some photos this week, and it's looking very different already from what you showed.
Yeah, it looks a bit derelict in that presentation.
Which is great, isn't it? It's going from nothing to something,
It is,
and in such an amazing part of the New Forest too. From Mike Dixon, superb presentation, Mya. It's essential that we encourage and assist more young people to get involved in ornithology and protecting nature. Have you done any work with the Young Farmers Club?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't heard of that. But I'll definitely look into it.
They've been going for a long time, the Young Farmers Clubs. From Shailesh, who says, I like the logo of the Great Grey Shrike. Whose idea was that?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it might have been one of Cameron's favourite birds, so I think that's why it's on the front. But yeah, it's a very nice logo, and it looks good on our hoodies and our baseball caps, and we have little pin badges of it. So it's nice. Fabulous.
Okay, I think you may have an answer for this one. This is from Jamie Fidget, who says, it would be good if they had a disabled version of this. Then I could go. Any plans like this in the future?
Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, that's an idea I can definitely submit into the Cameron Bespolka Trust. We're obviously trying to create events for everyone of all backgrounds, all disabilities. So, I mean, this is something we could definitely implement. But yeah, definitely, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll feed that back.
I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I have a feeling that Cameron's Cottage may have some disabled-friendly facilities that are going to be built within it.
Yeah, I think it can sleep up to 18. I think it is accessible. So yeah, so hopefully when that's built, we can host events there. That's the plan.
Yeah, brilliant. From Denzel Dean, do you have any advice for organisations that would like to reach out to younger audiences who maybe aren't already passionate about nature?
So I think social media obviously is a good one, as most young people are on there. So creating an account on social media. But with the only problem with social media, I find that you're sort of talking to a converted audience. So people that are going to follow you are people that are already into nature. So I think going into schools is quite a good one. So giving a talk, so creating projects like wildlife gardens at schools. I know forest schools do similar things, but going into schools and universities as well, because that sort of captures an age range that might have sort of diverted. They might have had that passion earlier on, but once you get to that sort of age, you might become a bit distracted with other things. So going into universities and schools. I mean, for the SOS, I had to come up with some ideas to get other young people involved. And I thought of a young photography competition. So we had a bird photography competition, but then we had a young category, because in that, obviously, in wildlife, we tend to think of just birding, and but obviously photography is a big part, and that connecting with that sort of audience is really important when wanting to get a wide range of people involved. So ideas like that, but I know it is hard, obviously media, and I need to do more to sort of portray it as a hobby to a wide range of people, because I know there's still the stereotype that birding is a bit of a white man's hobby, which isn't. There is so many young people involved, but there's definitely more that needs to be done.
I've got a little bit of a follow-on question here, actually. So that question was about any advice for organisations who'd like to reach out. Question from Frankie Wiedenberg, apologies if I've pronounced the surname wrong, who starts with very impressive presentation, exclamation mark. Any suggestions how we could engage with the kids in our village? So I think that question is about, yeah, organisations can get involved, but how can individuals engage with kids that are local to them?
So I think sort of the Big Garden Bird Watch is such a good example. So creating like a little bird count, or where sort of young people can get a bit competitive, so it makes it fun. I think that's really important when trying to get smaller children interested, is to try and make it fun, like create like crafts events maybe to make bird feeders and sort of colouring in birds, and make it like a little competition to try and learn as many bird species in a week. So for example, like the easiest species like blue tip, blackbird, try and make it a bit of a competition. As many birds as you can see in your garden perhaps. So like grandparents trying to get younger children, their grandchildren interested is really important. So in families, I think it's really important to try and pass on that knowledge and that passion. But I think try and make a little competition, or make it fun ultimately.
Fabulous. Okay. Next one from Stephen Chapman, which is, where is the shop for the pickup? Because he says he's going to get some of the nest boxes.
So if you want to go on the shop, it's online. So we primarily sell our products online, but obviously at events, when it's not COVID, we're going to have some events, and then we normally sell our products there. So at sort of local sort of festivals, little shops, things like that, we have a stand where we sell our products, but you can order easily online. Yeah.
And then the next question is from Mark Mallory, which is, do you know if the Trust has any plans to work with young people in poorer countries?
We're sort of sticking to the UK at the moment, but I mean, it's sort of growing year on year. I mean, our plans are quite big at the moment, but primarily at the moment we're working in the UK, but I mean, it's something we'd love to be able to do. in the future, but obviously we're just trying to develop our projects at the moment, try and engage with people in cities and towns, because obviously that's so important, given that opportunity and access to nature, but it's definitely something we want to do in the future.
Fabulous. Okay, that brings us to the end of the oh no, we got one come in now, which is from Kelsey Wright, which is really curious about the artwork on your wall.
Right. Okay, so you know the new book Back to Nature by Chris Backham and Megan McCubbin, so you could sign up to get some prints from it, and I did, and that's the prints from the book.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so they're really nice. I like them. Simple, but yeah, I like them.
There we go, Kelsey, you know where to get those from. Okay, fabulous. So I've got a couple of shout outs about some SOS events coming up, but for now that's all your questions. Thank you so much, Mya. I don't know if anybody out there watches the Great Pottery Throwdown. It's one of my like end of the evening things, but one of the judges on there wells up with tears every time, and I can't deny I get quite emotional to think that new talent is coming through of your type, doing so many amazing things, and I think it's just absolutely inspirational. As Tanya White's just come through, amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we'll add another amazing to that. So Amy, thank you so much. And one of the sad things about Zoom is amazing, and it's opened up so many things, but what we don't get to hear is everybody applauding, but I can hear it in my head, and I think it's fantastic. So that's the end of Mya's talk. I've got